I need to tell you something. I reinstalled Windows 11 last week on a spare machine, right? Clean setup, nothing unusual. But the setup process feels different than it did a few years ago. Before I reach the desktop, the system checks for TPM2. It checks that Secure Boot is enabled. It pushes a Microsoft account during installation as well. You can bypass some of these if you know the tricks. There are setup commands in command prompt. There are offline methods, but the default path is very clear. Verify hardware, verify firmware, cloud identity. At the same time, Microsoft has been restructuring how AI integrates into Windows. Copilot isn't just sitting in the taskbar anymore, it's tied into search behavior, system suggestions, and background services. Earlier this year, there were reports that parts of the rollout were being adjusted after performance compliance. Even so, AI integration is becoming more embedded, not less. So when you look at all of this together, it's hard to ignore that baseline experience changed. Hardware requirements tighten a lot. Identity is a part of the setup. AI is part of the operating system layer. That shift itself is why more users are reassessing their options in 2026. In this video, I want to break down what TPM actually does, what Secure Boot changes, why the online account requirements matter, how some users bypass it, why certain European upgrades still work differently, and then we'll talk about why Linux is entering the conversation again. So TPM, Secure Boot, and AI. So let's talk about TPM for a second. Most people hear TPM 2.0 and just think some security thing, and yeah, basically that's what it is. It's a hardware module that stores encryption keys. Windows uses it for a BitLocker, Windows Hello, credential protection, that kind of stuff. From a pure security standpoint, it's not bad. If someone steals your laptop, your drive is harder to pull data from. That's real. But here's where it changes things. It's not optional anymore. If your machine doesn't report TPM 2.0 properly, Windows 11 just stops. Setup really won't continue. You can bypass it, that's sure. There are registry edits during install, modified ISOs, for example. People have figured it out, but officially, unsupported. So suddenly a 5-year-old PC that runs perfectly fine is not compatible. That's not about performance, that's about baseline requirements moving. Then we got Secure Boot. Again, technically it's good. It makes sure only signed, trusted components load before the OS starts. It blocks certain types of low-level malware. That's solid. But it also means your firmware, your OS, and Microsoft sign-in chain are now tightly linked. The system assumes a verified chain from power on to desktop. Most users never touch their UEFI settings, right? They never think about Secure Boot, for example. But once it's part of the mandatory stack, your machine isn't just neutral hardware anymore. It's hardware operating inside a predefined trust model. And then there's accounting. So during setup, Windows 11 really wants you online. Microsoft account, sync everything, tie the machine to your cloud identity. Can you bypass it? Yes. Disconnect the internet, for example, use certain setup commands. Some builds still expose local account option more clearly. In parts of Europe, local account setup is easier because of regulatory pressure. So technically, you still have control. But you're swimming upstream. The default path is clear. Verify hardware, verify firmware, and verify identity. Now, layer AI on top of all that. Earlier this year, there were reports about Copilot integration being adjusted after performance complaints. Background services were hitting CPU more than expected in some builds. Microsoft tweaked parts of the rollout, but here's the thing, they didn't pull it back. They embedded it even further. Search behavior ties into AI suggestions. System recommendations lean on cloud processing. Background components stay active even if you hide the Copilot icon. And that tells me it's really not about one feature anymore, it's about direction. And when you combine all of this, TPM, Secure Boot, cloud identity, AI integration, you start asking a simple question. Is this still just a local operating system, or is it becoming something else? And this is where Linux starts coming up again. When you install something like Ubuntu or Mint today, the first surprise is how normal it feels. You download the ISO file, flash it to a USB drive, boot from it, and within a few minutes, you're inside a full desktop environment. You can test everything before installing. For example, Wi-Fi connects, audio plays, the browser app opens. If you don't like it, you reboot and nothing changed. There's no hardware gate stopping you at the door. If the system boots, you're in. Different distributions approach things differently. For example, Ubuntu is still the common starting point because the documentation is everywhere. It has a really good support. Mint feels very familiar if you're coming from Windows 10. The layout makes sense immediately. Fedora moves faster with newer software stacks. KDE-based systems like Kubuntu let you adjust almost everything visually. Panels, animations, window behavior, shortcuts without registry edits or third-party tweaks. Then there's Pop OS. You heard about it. Pop OS was built with creators and gamers in mind. For example, NVIDIA drivers are handled cleanly. Hybrid GPU switching is straightforward. The system feels tuned for performance, work, and gaming setups. For someone who cares about GPU performance and doesn't want to wrestle with drivers, that really matters. I want to say gaming in general isn't what it was 5 years ago on Linux. Steam with Proton runs a large portion of Windows titles now. You install Steam, download your game, and in many cases it launches without extra configuration. Some competitive anti-cheat titles still refuse to run. That hasn't fully changed, but the overall idea that Linux can handle mainstream gaming doesn't really match reality anymore. Performance can feel different too. On many Linux desktop, idle RAM usage is lower than Windows 11 on the same hardware. Background processes are fewer by default. Boot time can be shorter. It feels lighter, really. The system isn't constantly layering cloud services and background integration on top of the base OS. And the important thing, privacy also feels simpler. Most mainstream distributions don't require an online account to install. There's no advertising layer inside the file manager. There's no built-in suggestion engine tied to a cloud identity. If telemetry exists, it's usually minimal and optional. But, however, Linux isn't really perfect. If your work depends on specific Windows-only software, that's still a real constraint. For example, full Adobe Creative Cloud workflows are native. Certain enterprise tools or niche industry software simply aren't built for Linux. You can work around some of the compatibility layers on virtual machines, but that adds complexity. And Linux expects a bit more awareness from you. When something unusual happens, you might read documentation. You might open a terminal and type commands. For some people that's fine, but for others it feels unfamiliar at first. So this isn't a blanket recommendation, it's a shift in comparison. Windows is clearly moving toward tighter hardware verification, deeper cloud identity integration, and AI woven into the operating system layer. That direction isn't subtle anymore. Linux remains local first. You decide what runs, you decide when to update, and how much integration you want. In 2026, the gap between those two models feels more noticeable than it did a few years ago. And that's why the idea of switching isn't fringe anymore. It's just a practical evaluation of what baseline you want on your own machine. If you installed Windows 11 recently and everything worked, you probably didn't stop to think about it. TPM passed. Secure boot was already enabled. You signed into a Microsoft account and moved on. Copilot sits there. The system runs. But if you've been using Windows for a long time, you can feel that the baseline changed. The setup process asks more for the hardware. Identity is assumed. AI is baked into core behaviors. The direction is clear. Some people are completely fine with that. That's okay. Their workflow depends on Windows software. Many people that work in an office or at home depends on Microsoft software. Their games run best there. Their work environment expects it. That's reasonable. Others are looking at the same direction thinking, maybe I want something simpler. Not simpler as in less capable, but simpler as in fewer assumptions. A system that installs without checking a hardware whitelist, right? A system that doesn't require an online identity during setup. A system that stays local unless you decide otherwise. That's why Linux makes more sense in 2026 than it did a few years ago. The usability gap narrowed. Hardware support improved. Gaming compatibility improved, and desktop environments matured. You don't even have to commit to test it. Boot from a USB, spend an hour inside it, and see how it behaves on your machine. If it doesn't fit, nothing changes. The only question now isn't whether Linux is better, it's which direction you're comfortable with long term. If you want to understand more about how Windows 11 changed structurally, watch the video where I break down what actually controls your PC now. And if you want a deeper dive into the privacy shift and why Microsoft moved in this direction, check the other one, linked here. Those two explain the foundation behind this conversation. Now I'm curious where you stand. Are you staying on Windows, testing Linux, or already switched? Let me know below. See you next one.